Hi everyone, this is Princess Style, bringing you another helpful ASL video. I know, it's been a while. If you notice there's a slight breeze blowing, it's because my fan is on because it has gotten really hot at my house. It's June, right? Oh well, it's better than yesterday. So today, as you have read the title, you probably know, I am going to be talking about classifiers. If you have not studied sign language in a class, there's a good chance that, like me, you don't really know what classifiers are, or maybe you've heard of them, seen them, but you don't really get it. That's okay. It's hard to understand the concepts until you see it used and kind of explained to you as a hearing person. And I have to say that not everyone has taught me ASL, particularly explain classifiers all that well. So I'm hoping to be able to break it down a little bit for you. So probably your first question, if you're new to this, is what is a classifier? Well, classifier is, I think how I could put this. The closest thing we have to it in spoken language is it's kind of like a figure of speech, or you can almost say like a cliche. Like everyone knows it means this, even though it's not technically a word. Or I mean, maybe technically a word, but it's like a phrase that means something. So, for instance, the pot calling the kettle black. That's a phrase that means you're being a hypocrite, right? Well, is that literally what the words mean? No, but it's what the phrase means. It's not exactly the same, but you'll get it as you see it, where the difference is. So, with that being said, you need to know your sign language alphabet if you're going to use classifiers, because all classifiers use different alphabet hand shapes. And just so you know, the basic ASL hand shapes, if you ever see that in an ASL book, is always talking about the alphabet. And so on. The most common ones are a closed D, B, and it can be B like this, B flat, spread B. It's all considered B. E sometimes, C a lot, and sometimes the C kind of stretched out more like this. F is used a lot. H and U are used quite a bit, and V is used a ton. And then the number 3 is one of the only non-letter ones, and it's used a lot also. I guess you could also say this is number 1, however you want to look at it. And also X. I think those are the most common ones off the top of my head. There's also something I've been learning about in ASL 4, and that's called a body classifier, and it's where the way you stand is also considered a classifier, or you incorporate body movement into the classifier. Like, this means to kind of lean or stumble back. You can see I'm using U's or H's, but I have to lean back at the same time. Facial expression is important here. But for your basic classifiers, we can just start with the alphabet and not worry about the body stuff, because I don't know that many yet either. You just start learning this. So let's start with this one. kind of a closed D. So in ASL, the literal sign for person is with two P's. It's like this, or you can maybe use your flat hands and go like this, but that's more if you're saying this thing plus a person. This is just a person. And if this is people. Repeated motion often means it's plural. Right? So that's the literal sign, but the classifier for person is this. And you might wonder, why do we need two? Well, because in storytelling, it works better to have a handshake that's more easy to move around in sign language because it's all about demonstrating what was happening. We do this in English too. We'll use different phrases for storytelling than we would use for just making a statement. Kind of like, using a simile or a metaphor almost. So this handshake, usually you would use two for a lot of things. Like this means wandering, kind of. You can kind of use it to be walking at the same time, walking back and forth. Even with one, it kind of means just you usually, or just one person, of course, alone, wandering around, faster, slower, maybe make a turn, a person. It might help to think of this as it's kind of like a stick figure, which is like the one finger instead of whole person. So yeah, it's almost like you're drawing a sketch with your hands, if that makes it any more clear. And of course, you got to be very aware of your space when you're doing this. With this particular one, you wouldn't usually rotate because it's usually all one scene, but you have to kind of think of the space in front of you as like a mini stage for your hands, and this is the actor. And whatever happens on this stage, the story you're telling, like it's a little diorama in the air. The better you can picture things in your head like this, the easier time you're going to have understanding what the person is saying. I feel like I should use this as an example. So, I think I could just say I wandered around the airport looking for my flight. So, first I established the airport. I looking for my flight. And this basically is implying that I was frantically looking for it and I couldn't find it. And then I go from there. Make sense? Good. Next one. So then you have your flat, well, not always flat, but usually your flat B handshake. This classifier is more of a descriptive one in that it usually means either a space or like a rectangular object or a stack of flat objects. And you'll see this handshake in plenty of signs about things like that, like paper, box, round. But it also can be used less specifically to just show I was carrying like even a stack of boxes, stack of papers, and it's not the literal sign for it so much as it's just showing what you're doing. And even hearing people do things like this. Like you might see a hearing person tell a story like I was like holding it and then I dropped it. That's sign language, right? Pretty self-explanatory on that one. I think that there's, as far as this is concerned, it also can show like the kind of place it was, like a ledge, or maybe even a bridge if you wanted to do that. Or a road. C. So this is also used to describe things more than it's used to act out things. It would be like a long rectangular object. Like this could be like a long plank, or if I did it like this, it could be more like a brick. And again, there's not a literal sign so much as I'm just showing what it was. And I would probably finger spell brick. And then I would use this from here on to show brick by brick, I built the house, right? Or I laid brick, or it could be tile, laid tile out. Or like even something like this tissue box. I handed her the tissue box. Very easy. Even if there's a literal sign for tissue box, you wouldn't use that in the sentence as long as you'd already established what you were talking about. And even if you did use it, you would then show it with the classifier. You wouldn't do like the sign for it and then just say, I handed it. No, you show what you did. You always show what you did. Otherwise, you're signing English, and that's not the same as ASL. Though it's okay if you're a beginner and that's all you know how to do, as long as the person can still understand you. Or if you're just doing it to learn signs. But if you're trying to speak the actual dialect, you need to act it out. So that's C. C is also used in a lot of signs like search or for cup. And that would be a sideways C. It's like I move my cup from here to here so I wouldn't spill it. I would go. Or I filled the cup. It overflowed. I always remember usually when you're acting out something like that to keep one hand in the same place and make the other hand show the change in what happened. In this case, like I filled the cup, maybe I got distracted, cup overflowed, just so the person has the idea this was staying in the same place the entire time. I was the one who made the mistake. If I wanted to show the cup slipped, then I would move this hand, like fill the cup, maybe I knocked it, it fell off the table, broke, maybe. It's all about the idea of what you're doing. C. E, not really used as much, honestly, but if it was to be used, it would be similar to how B is used with like flat objects. Or maybe to just act out something I'm literally doing, like this looks, I might be hanging on to something, or just hanging on to something that's really flat, then I might use that, but mostly I would use B. F. F would be used for something like a pencil. F. Like I could say, my pencil was this long, and then it was this long. Used it every day. Got shorter, shorter, shorter. Nothing left. That's how you could show that. Facial expression would be very important there. Or you could say there was like this long pipe, but it'd have to be a thin pipe. Or you could show it for like a straw, like the straw was like whoosh, one of those crazy straws, and I'm like, just show how the water up through it. But for a bigger pipe, you would use C or possibly O. Do not see this one a lot, but you might use it, maybe. F is also used in a lot of signs that kind of have like it's A-OK sort of feel to them, where the sign really doesn't literally look like anything, but just the way you do it kind of implies something. So is this one. H. Now, to be honest, I'm not familiar with a lot of classifiers for this yet. I'm not even sure why it's H when it looks more like U. I know this one, like I said. And the rest of the time, it'd be more like if you were spreading or painting something, you might show like the brush, and it'd be a little brush because if it was a big brush, you would use a B. Little brush, maybe like, or paint, you could do something like that. And that's mostly when you'd use this. It'd be like to show like a line of something or paint. Well, if you used only one finger, it'd be more like a pencil or pen line. So, kind of consistency is a key to how you use this. For X, it's not a classifier as much as this handshake just means usually negativity. Not always. It could be like Texas. Obviously, that's not negative. But it's like for scar, need, which also isn't necessarily negative. And so it's a classifier in that it would be a descriptive classifier. Scar could be anywhere on your body, so it's not just one sign. Same way paint could be, or like tattoo. Like you could just show drawing a tattoo shape on yourself if you want to do that. And so that's how you would mostly use X. But if you wanted to show something especially unique, like someone had a hook hand, maybe hooked a fish, then you could use it for that also. So those are most of the classifiers I know, but there's one more. V1. This is one of my favorite ones to use. And if you watched my recent video, Ruined, I used this one a lot. That one, using it more. It's actually super helpful doing songs because literally signing a lot of that stuff just looks bad. You can think of the difference between using this and literally signing it. Everything is separated and it can come off a little bit jerky. I mean, you can be really good at making it look fluid, but sometimes it's like these signs just don't physically seem related to each other. One might be up here, one might be down here, one might be out here, and it just doesn't make sense in like a stage or even a screen. Honestly, it doesn't seem right. I could do literally, I'm rock climbing, but in a song especially, I'd probably want to do, I'm climbing up a mountain, climbing up the stairs, rock, climbing, elevator. This is actually the sign for elevator, but it looks so much better than if I just did something like this. What does that even mean, right? So in the song, I used it to show someone moving closer to someone else. And I just did it like this. You can wiggle it. You can use this sign to make it look like somebody's walking. And if you were paying attention, you might be like, isn't that kind of like this one? And you're right, it is. But this one is more vague, you might say, and this one is more specific. Like this, I can show someone's walking. With this one, I could show someone walked, and then they tripped. Someone hopped on one leg. Someone kind of skipped over something. Ran really fast. Went uphill, went downhill. And I could do that too, but this just looks better because, even hearing people can recognize this means somebody was walking. And it's really good for having two people in the same thing and showing what they were doing. Showing dancing, spinning, even like the literal signs for it. So, pretty cool, right? And that is classifiers. Some of them. I probably will make a follow-up video when I understand more classifiers, but for now, I hope that made it kind of make sense. I'll probably be doing a video on ASL colloquialisms and contractions pretty soon because I found those very interesting and helpful, and I'm sure some of you would like to know them too. But for now, that's a wrap. Have a great day. It's a style out.